Move over, Alice. Time for Integrity Knight Eldrie to shine his brightest. Oh no. So what's up guys, Foxen here. SAO Alicization, War of the Underworld episode 8. So I'm guessing Asuna must be lagging a bit. And what was that about SAO being crowned light novel of the decade? More on that later. So go ahead and smash the like, ring the bell for Dear Eldrie, and let's dive into this SAO episode, titled Blood and Life. Kicking this off, another look at Alice's DIY Death Star attack. The poor witch squad got fracking melted. Oh yeah, there were some ogres too. Sad day for the furry community. I really just like seeing this light stream of destruction from the Dark Territory point of view. Looks like that show of force completely drained Alice, physically and mentally. This actually gave Fanatic to play the Prince Charming role catching the sleeping blonde. It really goes to show how far Fanatic herself has come. Recall that neither of these two were that fond of each other just a few months back. Alice right here brings up this excellent point. The main close combat units from the Dark Territory side are still untouched. This includes the Dark Knights and the Boxer guys. I mean, you saw Sir Crimson a few episodes back almost fall to some weak goblins. Just imagine that combined with stronger opponents, plus the numbers, and it's good game human empire. Alice had also just drained the battlefield of the Sacred Power, but some of that had now returned due to the Sacred Power leak from the disintegrated Dark Territory side. Come on guys, vacuum that up. Anyway, welcoming Eldrie back one final time. This dude looked massively torn up and bloody. I mean, who won that fight? So you really had Eldrie beating himself up about not only letting the goblins past his unit, but worse, getting shown up by fricking Renly. Talk about embarrassing. Eldrie always really wanted to get noticed by his senpai Alice. He only wished he could be the one protecting his mentor. But you know, after that light of destruction beam, who would be protecting who? You would have Eldrie here revealing his own feelings. Perhaps there being more to his chaotic loathing about not being useful to Alice. Come on, lover boy, just say something. But sorry, interrupted. Turns out the leader of the furries survived that nuking. Slightly barbecued. You're now seeing why this ogre dude didn't get much screen time. Unfortunately, the major role this ogre leader played was delivering intel to Alice in the human side. Alice, you're that divine light priest, the one that Lord Vector wants to desolify. In the scene, you did have a slight change for Alice stopping Eldrie in the SAO anime. Originally, Alice stopped Eldrie's blade with her fingers instead of just pulling him back. But back to the wolf boy. It is a shame this stuff has been mostly skipped over in the SAO anime, but I have seen some of you posting in recent videos that you got a sense of this, that the Dark Territory side really aren't these ultra evil villain guys. Based on how the Underworld got set up, the human empire got placed on top. Meanwhile, the Dark Territory side pretty much got screwed. There's so much less resources on that side like food, water, and so on. Not too long ago, the Dark Territory side was on this constant kill or be killed state. Weaker guys like the goblins and ogres ended up getting shafted the worst. By the way, top scene of Alice releasing the Sacred Power into the night sky. Anyway, switching it to Emperor Vector finally waking his ass up. You heard the guy drop the episode title line, Blood and Life. He must have really been like, something I could relate to. Sounds scrumptious. And you have to love the sudden expression shift for D, from this frightened kitty cat into a blissful succubus. Yes, Commander, time to make a colossal bacon roast feast. Come on, Thanksgiving just passed. Anyway, back to Alice and friends. Very nice to get Bercoli and Fanatic side by side in this shot. Can you feel the love tonight? But seriously, the hot topic at hand, not only about this divine light priest, but then finding out about this dark god Vector being a key player in this underworld war. Ultimately, you had Alice wanting to use herself as bait for this new battle strategy. However, Alice was actually keeping part of her motives a secret from even Bercoli. I am glad the SAO anime now revealed this key detail. Post Quinella fight, Alice was in fact awake enough to hear about the world and altar. Still, the anime did leave out one key detail fueling Alice. Alice figured out the spot was somehow connected to Kirito. Perhaps Kirito's mind would recover if Alice hauled the AFK boy over there. By the way, Alice, I'm coming with ya. Smirk. So despite my issues with the SAO anime cutting away at Bercoli's thoughts and inner monologue, I do very much like how Bercoli has been visually portrayed in the anime, especially small details like this. Bercoli really comes off as its parallel to Kirito. It'd be nice if both of them fought one day. Switching it to some darker stuff, let the Piggy Roasting begin. Naturally, the orc leader wouldn't be too happy hearing about their tribe being used for fuel. From Miss Piggy, you even got this more tender glimpse from the Dark Territory side. The wife hoped that their souls would be similar in their final moments. And yes, there is backstory sliced out for the orc group. I'll touch on this a little bit later. Meanwhile, Dee just looked disgusted. I mean, come on. You got these guys having their final moments, but she's like, ugh, these animals. This discount Quinella really likes looking down on others. Anyway, back to Alice and friends. You got the human empire being split into two chunks. On one side, Fanatio and Sir Crimson being left in charge. In the second piece, Bercoli and a couple knights tagging along with Alice. Yes, this did include bringing Potato Kirito and the two girls with them, which Alice did hesitate to allow. Right here, do notice Fanatio. Fanatio was in deep thought and looked especially hurt when Bercoli and friends were taking off. Cut out here was a little exchange between Fanatio and Bercoli. No surprise that Fanatio wanted to tag along with them, but Bercoli declined her request. Bercoli had actually whispered something into Fanatio's ear, and then she backed down. Fizzo, Lino, and even Eldry also argued wanting to join them, but you know. Then getting into that orc scene, this day does extract a heavy toll. And my god, another beautifully animated, horrific scene. They got my eyes wet for a bit. Poor oinkers. Their life simply used to charge up this dark sacred arts. I'm really glad to see they didn't shy away from showing not only blood, but their bodies exploding into this complete mess. The cherry on top for this crapola Sunday was Miss Piggy being there. Without her, this scene may not have been as strong. As for the orc leader, do notice that red glow at the very end. This triggered by this damning event. Look familiar? Switching to the very turned on D. Oh, you know she's definitely soaked down there. I mean, you even did see her filling herself up. Anyway, another scene I was very curious to see animated, those dark worms. I wasn't really sure what to expect. It turned out to be this dark shining forest mixed in with what looked like those minion parts you saw earlier. The SAO light novel did clarify that this dark art blast was in fact stronger than when the Alice had released just a few moments earlier. Don't let that touch you. Nice touch here with them adding that Kirito shot. They chose to highlight the blue rose sword too. So getting into it, Eldery Sacrifice. Such a powerful finale for him. The previous orc scene got me a little bit, but honestly this Eldery finale got me completely in tears. Such a gorgeous anime display gifted to Eldery. Definitely levels above the SAO source. It was his powerful incarnation that was fueling him to serve Alice, that ultimately pushed him forward past the point of death. I should mention that hand pushing him forward was actually not in the SAO light novel. Looking at the clothing, this actually looked like Yu-Gi-Oh's hand. It does match up with the shot from the opening. There, Yu-Gi-Oh pushing Alice. I mean, just a moment earlier, you even had the blue rose sword being highlighted too. Or who knows, perhaps it was just Mama. So, farewell Eldry, sacrificing himself to protect his beloved mentor Alice. Negative 500,000 HP in an instant. I actually was really fond of this scene for a different reason. For me, it always felt like a parallel to the earlier Kirito scene. Eldry was clearly dead, and I mean super dead. Yet he continued to fight on for a short period, even talking to Alice a little bit afterwards. Recall back to Kirito versus the Kayaba fight. Kirito had actually done something similar via the incarnation system. And no, Kirito didn't freaking revive. I always see people wrongly thinking that Kirito somehow hacked the system to revive himself, even though that scene was just Kirito thinking about his own fate. But to be fair, I do think that scene could have been done better to be less confusing. Anyways, a positive to all of this. Hey, Alice found some loot someone dropped. Time to sell that and feed the dragons. And what a fitting way to conclude this episode. Alice going on this outraged rampage. I did feel a little bad for the witch squad. This whole display even had Dee pissing on herself. And yes, Dee, how low can she go? In her final moments, she tore into the freaking spines of those two girls and pretty much transmuted them into meat shields for her. She ain't going down like this. As for Alice's speech there, pure grade A BS coming out of her. And Alice knew it. She was taking advantage of that Light Priest title to gain their attention. Very clever of her. So overall for this week's SAO episode, a lot better compared to last week's. Only 4 more to go. By the way, where is Asuna? Next up, getting into the light novel changes going into the SAO anime, a quick overview. It really feels like this episode had the least stuff chopped out. First off, an abridged rundown of the orc leader. Mr. Piggy here was born to this powerful orc clan. This orc was given the name Lillipillin, and no, not a rapper. His name actually included 3 L's to highlight his beauty, something that was rare for an orc. It was only later that the guy realized he was called handsome for an orc, since he had features less resembling orcs and more closely humans. Ultimately, this led him into having this massive inferiority complex associated with humans. Oh, they're so beautiful, aren't they? Let me stomp out any non-orc out of existence. Next up, Eldry. You never actually got an Eldry's backstory or further ties with Alice. Eldry was actually born as first rank noble. He eventually made it to the 4 Empire Unification Tournament and won that. Quinella then gifted him by stripping him of his memories, then knighting him. But still, even as an integrity knight, his original noble pride and confidence remained. This actually led to an issue for Eldry being under Alice. Eldry was conflicted with his two desires: to dedicate his everything to Alice, but also to protect Alice as her senior in age. Eventually, Eldry settled to seek her guidance as a pupil. He hoped that one day Alice would accept him not only as a swordsman, but also as a man too. Good night, sweet prince. By the way, some super quick SAO news. The Mega Hobby event just took place here in Japan. They had a whole lot of SAO figures on display. And oh yes, this included Goddess Stacia Asuna, now in color. Oh my god, I might just be stupid enough to buy 2 of these, holy crap. And yes, there were 2 more spoiler-ish SAO Alicization figures on display too. Though it's also a definite day 1 buy for me. Then for the SAO light novel, it was actually voted light novel of the decade. This was from the Kono Light Novel Ga Sugoi rankings. And I'll go ahead and leave a link to that down below. It is always great to see how beloved SAO is here in Japan. Once again, SAO was in the top 10 light novels for 2019. SAO came in number 3, practically tied for the 2nd spot, that being the Weathering With You light novel. But anyway, more important, leave your thoughts on this episode down below. Come on, did anyone else cry this episode? Be honest, what got you more, the Porky Pig sacrifice or Eldry's loss? Do subscribe and check out these other juicy videos, and I'll see you guys later.